This is May June 2024, variant 21. So this is question number 3. So identify who allocates resources in a mixed economic system. Identify who allocates resources in a mixed economic system. What is mixed economic system? Mixed economic system is where public sector and private sector both work simultaneously. Some resources would be so in the mixed economic system, government and the private sector both work simultaneously. So some decisions would be taken by the government and some decisions would be taken by the private sector. So when the question is asking you about identify who allocates resources is in a mixed economic system, you would only write private producers and the government, or you can also write public sector instead of the government. So private producers and the government or the public sector allocates resources in a mixed economic system. Okay, you don't have to write detailed descriptions. The question is only asking for the identification. It is not asking for any description, not asking for any explanation. So you would only identify the sector or identify the person or people who would be allocating the resources, and those who would be allocating the resources in a mixed economic system would be the private producers and the government. Now coming on to question 2, that is part B. Explain two benefits a firm may gain from an increase in the size of a country's population. Right, so this is a 4-marker question. So in a 4-marker question, you have to write you have to write 2 points with explanation. 2 points with explanation. So two benefits a firm may gain from an increase in the size of a country's population. So you have to write 2 points with explanation. Okay, proper explanation you would have to write while explaining the 2 points. So a firms may gain. Most common mistake the students make in these question is writing the benefit of the government or writing the benefit of the economy. You don't have to write the benefit of the government or the economy. You only have to write the benefit of firm. So you would be writing that? Answer B. Firstly, if the population of a country would increase, it would result in increased demand for the firm's products. As a result, firm's revenue would increase, which will result in which will result in increased profits. Which will result in increased profits. Secondly, when the population would increase, it will also increase the labor supply of a country. As a result, as a result, as a result, as a result of increased labor, the average wage may fall. Therefore, the firm would be able to hire cheap labor. Now, moving on to part C. Analyze the reasons why government aim for stable prices. The stable prices, what is meant by stable prices? Stable prices means that there is no inflation, price stability. When the prices would not increase by much, they would remain constant. So why government aim for stable prices? Why would government aim for stable prices? So why the government would be aiming for stable prices? It would be that you, yeah, and this is a 6 marker question. That means you would have to write 3 points, 3 points with explanation. Answer C. Firstly, government may aim for stable prices in order to firstly government may aim for stable prices in order to maintain or increase exports and decrease imports. If the local goods, if the local goods, if the local goods would be expensive, if the local goods would be expensive, if the local goods would be expensive, this would result in exports being expensive and imports to seem cheaper. As a result, economies exports would fall and imports would increase, leading to, as a result, economies export would fall and imports would increase, leading to current account deficit. So if the government is unable to reduce the prices, or if the government won't aim for stable prices, the exports would become expensive and the imports would seem cheaper. As a result, current account deficit occur hoga. Current account deficit would be when the exports would be less than the imports. Secondly, government aim to, yeah, government aim for, secondly, government aim for stable prices in order to retain consumer confidence. If there would be high prices, if there would be high prices, consumers purchasing ability, consumers purchasing ability would fall. Thus, they would be able to afford less. As a result, living standards would fall. Thus, government would aim for stable prices. Thirdly, thirdly, government may aim for stable prices to attract multinational companies. As price stability gives confidence to the producers. Therefore, stable prices for to attract MNCs, as price stability gives confidence to the producers. Therefore, MNC would increase employment opportunities which will result in higher incomes. Now moving on to part D, it is discuss. Discuss question is always about positives and negative. It is always a two-sided answer. It is always a two-sided answer. So discuss whether or not the global economy would benefit from an increase in air travel. So if the air travel would increase, whether the global economy would be benefiting out of it, or they would be more harmed out of it. Whether the benefits would be more or whether the drawbacks would be more. We have to write a very balanced answer. Okay, so in 8 marker question, it is always writing about two sides, and you have to write 3 points for benefits with explanation and 3 points for negative side with explanation. It should always be a balanced answer. So first benefit of air travel can be, so if we write answer D, so you have to write 2 paragraphs about benefits, first about benefits and the second about the drawbacks. So in the first paragraph talking about the benefits, you can write that increase in air travel would increase employment. So unemployment rate would fall, leading to higher income levels, higher income levels for countries. Higher income levels for countries, thus living standards would increase. Thus, living standards would increase. When talking about the second paragraph and talking about the second benefit, so if the air travel increase in air travel, it can also lead to tourism opportunities for some countries. So, for example, uh, there is a very small uh, place like Maldives. So, their whole economy is dependent upon the tourism. So, if the air travel would increase, such small economies would be benefited from the tourism facilities. That would increase from an increase in air travel. So, increase in air travel would boost tourism, which will increase economic activities for some countries. Thus, their GDP would increase. The third benefit that can be from an increase in air travel would increase imports and exports of the countries, which will result in increased, which will result in increased international trade, which will result in increased international trade. Thus, variety for consumers would increase. Thus, variety for consumers would increase. Now, coming onto the drawback side, you would have to write that increase in air travel increase in air travel would increase consumption of oil. Thus, pollution would increase, which will lead to health issues. So this can be a drawback of increase in air travel. Then coming on to the second point, increase in air travel can also lead to decrease in demand for other modes of transport, such as bus or railways. Thus, unemployment in these industries would increase. Thus, unemployment in these industries would increase. Thirdly, easy or quick transportation of goods. Thirdly, easy or quick transportation of goods would increase the imports of poor countries, which will result in current account deficit. So this is how you would be writing an 8-marker question. The 8-marker question must have 3 positive points, 3 negative points with proper explanation, and it should be a balanced answer. There is no need to write evaluation or concluding paragraph at the end.